Hi, and welcome to App Talks. I'm Andrew Gothelf with the AppExchange marketing team. App Talks is a series of conversations with Salesforce customers about how AppExchange solutions help improve business outcomes. Today we're in Austin, Texas at the offices of Spredfast. I'll be joined by Stephanie Herrera, Director of Salesforce and Business Systems, Firas Yacoub, Senior Salesforce Admin, and Sofie Pompa, Senior Product Manager. We're here to learn about how Spredfast is using Spanning Backup and to learn how Spanning Backup is helping Spredfast protect critical Salesforce data. Stephanie, Firas, thanks so much for having me here at your offices in Austin. It's really great to be with you both. To start, for those in our audience that are unfamiliar with Spredfast, could you tell us a little bit about what exactly the company does?
Spredfast builds software for large enterprise brands to manage their social media marketing and customer care under one roof.
Great. So you both work with Salesforce, but in what capacity? Can you tell me a little bit about your roles here at Spredfast?
Yes, I am the Director of Salesforce and Business Systems here at Spredfast. So I have a team of 3, Frost, and then Trent Wilburn. I've been here almost 2 years, so I own the instance. The buck stops with me. I work with all of our major stakeholders on the strategic portion of Salesforce and how we're going to support the business. And I've got an amazing team to support me in those endeavors.
Firas Yacoub, I'm the Senior Salesforce Admin and Business Analyst. So I typically work with our department stakeholders on projects. So any type of business process that needs to be optimized or brought into the cloud, I'll work with them to gather requirements and then build out a solution within Salesforce. Typically work with a lot of automation as well.
So how does Spredfast use Salesforce? What different departments are using it, and what ways is the technology helping the business?
Pretty much everybody here at Spredfast is on Salesforce. To quote our CFO, Lynn Atchison, Salesforce is the spine of the business. It is our system of truth. So my team, myself and Firas and Trent Wilburn, support the whole business. I think maybe Depot isn't on Salesforce, but everybody else is on the platform. We have very high user adoption. I know a lot of people, that's an issue for them, but that's not the case here at Spredfast. We've got a lot of people. Spredfast tends to hire people who take the initiative. They're hustlers and they're always trying to figure things out. So they get in the platform and they're using it. And as a matter of fact, they're constantly coming to us with ideas. So we don't have to worry about adoption here at Spredfast.
That's great. So knowing that's the case and realizing how important it is to the business, the data that's within Salesforce, I mean, how crucial is that, and what would happen if you were to lose some of it, all of it? I mean, what would that do to the business?
For me, it's very crucial. Any business that I work at, the data is the most important. That's what drives business decisions. For us, and when you're in the Salesforce admin role, your coworkers are your customers. For our coworkers, our customer base is the customers belong to them. But when we're here, our coworkers are our customers. So all the work that our coworkers are doing is important and vital. They're doing the work to drive the business. They're doing the work to make us successful. So we take it very seriously. It's a responsibility of ours to protect all of the work that they put in to make us successful. And that's why it's so important to have some kind of 100% foolproof data backup.
So at what point at Spredfast or in your career did you realize you needed to go outside of Salesforce to find a solution to help you with backup and restore?
For me, it was back in 2013, I believe it was, when I was working at Volusion. I'd come onto the Salesforce team and we'd had the weekly export. The Salesforce does the weekly backup. And it was about that time that I had learned that it's a weekly backup. And when you don't stop and think about it, you're thinking, it backs it up that one day, that point in time. And if anything happens between, the weekly backup, if you lose the data, you don't have what occurred between the week. So, I attend the user groups regularly, and I went to the Austin user group, and Spanning had come to present their product. They're here, they're local to Austin, and they talked about how their product could back us up it does a daily backup. We could go back in time and look at the data as it existed any given day. And that to me blew my mind. I didn't realize that there was something better out there besides a weekly export.
So you've used Spanning at a different company. Clearly you had a good experience that you came to Spredfast and brought it here. What about Spanning has made it the right solution for you as a Salesforce director?
One, they've been around a long time. I've used them in the past. They're reliable, and we install it and I forget about it. I don't even have to worry about it. As a Salesforce director, as someone who owns an instance, I've got a lot of other things that I have to think about and that I have to worry about. With the Spanning product, I don't even have to think about it, which was a huge thing for me. And the installation was so easy. I installed it in less than an hour, it was done. I received an email that it was done and it was there, and I don't have to do anything else with it unless I need to restore data. And even that process is very easy. So for me, just having used it in the past, they're reliable. I mean, I've purchased other products and they ended up not working out, or support wasn't good, or the service wasn't good. But with Spanning, that's not been the case. It's always been a good experience. But for me, probably the most important is that I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. I like to say, I've got 99 problems, but backup isn't one of them.
Can you tell me a little bit about all the ways in which Spanning is protecting your data? I mean, what features and functionality are you using, and what's the sort of big picture in terms of how it's protecting your Salesforce instance?
Sure. So Spanning, so we have hundreds, if not over thousands of fields in Salesforce, and some of those fields are very critical in terms of classifying accounts, contacts, routing records to the right people. And we also subscribe to some data enrichment tools that clean and enrich our data. Sometimes those tools, maybe we didn't configure them properly, or they're just doing a little bit more than what we're asking them to do. And so we've had situations where I know when I first joined the company, we implemented one of those data enrichment tools and overwrote some critical fields. And initially it was a little scary, especially new on the job, kind of coming in and breaking things, not what you want to do. Fortunately, we had Spanning, so Stephanie was able to work with the Spanning team to kind of walk us through the restoration process, and we were able to be back up and running and restoring that data within an hour or two.
Yeah, and it sounds like Spanning already is paying dividends in terms of how it's helped protect the data. Are there other examples of ways in which it's come to the rescue since you've installed it?
Oh yeah, there was another package that we were looking at that didn't work out. So we decided we were going to switch to a different vendor. And this particular package had already been set up when we'd come on board here at Spredfast, so we weren't part of the installation, so we didn't know everything that it was tied to. There were some fields that were tied to it that actually appeared in the standard list for Salesforce and not in the custom pick list. So we uninstalled the package, the contract was over, we're setting up the new package, and we come in and my admin Trent and he's the one that owned the data, like cleaning it and keeping it up to date, came to me, was freaking out. He was like, those fields are gone. When we uninstalled that package, it took all of those fields, all that work he'd done to clean the data, to update it, were gone. And he was freaking out. I mean, he was like, why does it ghost? And I was like, that's okay, we've got Spanning. I said, just go back to yesterday and find those fields, create new custom fields, populate the new custom fields with the data. I said, we're good. He's like, he couldn't believe it, but it was kind of, for me, it was a little entertaining. I got to get my entertainment how I can to see him freaking out, and then just being, it's no big deal. We just go back a day and it's there, and it was, and we created the new fields and put it in. But I was shocked that we didn't realize that those fields were tied to that package and we'd already deleted it. Had we not had Spanning, had we just relied on the weekly export, we would have lost, a week's worth of data, and then going and trying to find it would, just been a lot of work. But with Spanning, it was easy, like within, less than 30 minutes, able to take care of that. He created the new fields and then did the upload to populate the new data.
There was a situation where we lost email addresses, which is very important for email marketing and sales, and just having used Spanning previously here, wasn't as worried about it. We were able to retrieve those but also not impact any of the changes to those records, but only restore the email addresses, which was very important.
Yeah.
That does.
I like that. It's okay. We have Spanning. Well, I mean, can you quantify in some way, or even just sort of having that peace of mind? I mean, what's that worth to both of you?
Oh, it's huge.
Working with Salesforce.
I mean, the reason I laugh like when Trent was freaking out is I remember that feeling when I found out we didn't have protection like that, because you're protecting the business's data. That's money, and time and work that everybody that you work with has put in. I mean, with our customers, you don't see them all the time when you're, dealing with customers on the phone or online. But for us, our customers we sit next to them. We have to pass them in the hall. So if we don't protect that data, I mean, we've got to deal with it in person. So there's that added level of stress and pressure that if we're not protecting it, we have to answer to them in person. It's not like you can call that in. So it's a huge relief just not to have to worry about it. Like, I'm at that point where data is not a big deal for me. I don't have to worry about it. That is one less thing I don't have to think about. It's nothing for me. So it's huge. It's huge because there are a lot of other things I do have to worry about, but that's not one, and that does feel good. Not just forget about it and just go about my day.
So Stephanie, you mentioned to me as we were preparing for this that data loss is often inevitable, but it doesn't have to be a disaster. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Back to kind of what we said earlier, it'll happen. It is inevitable. I mean, we're human. We get people working on entering the information, whether it be my team or even our end users. It's not going to go as it's supposed to. Their mistakes are going to be made. But with Spanning, like I said, it's no big deal if it happens. We've got them to protect our data. I can go back and look at the information at any given time and pull it back and restore it. And when you've got a big company, we've got almost 400 employees. Somebody's going to make a mistake. It's just going to happen. But with Spanning, we don't have to worry about it. They can fix it. They can take care of the human element that we have to work with every day.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that, data protection, it's kind of like a two-headed monster. You can prevent data loss with permissions and restricting access and field level security. But when you're dealing with 500 plus users, 10 plus integrations, installed packages, there's no way to get 100% coverage on preventing the wrong tool or person from editing something in Salesforce, especially when you're dealing with millions of records. So the second part of that is having a recovery solution so that if something does happen and it slips through your prevention efforts, you have a way to recover that data. And I like to think of our data as intellectual property, whether that's contact information for our customers or prospects or development work that we've done.
So more personal level, the partnership that has developed with Spanning, you've been working with them for a long time, you've been familiar with them for a long time. How has that evolved, and how would you describe just the relationship that you have with the company and the people at the company?
It's been a great evolution, one that I didn't see way back when. For me, they were a product that solved a problem. I did love that they were local. Austin, we're all about local and trying to grow our community and give back to the community so that it stays here in Austin. So that was a big plus for me at the time. But it's grown to so much more than that. I'm very involved in the community. Back in 2014, I started our first Women in Tech user group. And then in 2015, I started Salesforce Saturday. And we need space for that. And if we want to have a big event, Spanning was one of the first people to raise our hand and said, hey, you can use our amazing downtown space to hold your events here, and they would even buy breakfast tacos and coffee and mimosas, and then without asking for anything in return. I mean, they knew they had me as a customer. I'd already done a customer story. I'm drinking the Spanning Kool-Aid. They didn't have to do anything more, but they got very involved with our user community, and for me that means a lot that they're a vendor and a company that's not just taking from the community, they're giving back, and they're engaging with their community and they're being a part of the community. For me, it was very genuine and authentic, and they've continued now. I co-founded Pep Up Tech, which is a nonprofit that helps minorities get jobs in tech, and they're doing it again. They're, they did their survey, and the funds are going to Pep Up Tech. So they, promote us. So they're continuing to, engage with us and support the community, which for me, as somebody who's out there in the community and doing this stuff on the side, that's huge and makes my life a little easier in that sense. And again, they didn't have to do that. They know I'm all about spanning, and because they've saved me on a professional level so much, I felt more indebted to them, and for them to step up and say, hey, we want to help with this and be a part of this and help you, make the world a better place in any way that we can. They didn't have to do that. So for me, that's huge for me.
I love that. Obviously, as somebody who works at Salesforce, with giving back and philanthropy such a big part of us, to hear that one of our partners in the Ohana is doing that sort of thing in the community is really special. So what does the future look like in the relationship with Spredfast and Spanning? Are there features that you've spoken to about that's coming down that you are interested in using that may help you going forward?
One feature that has currently come down the pipe that we're really excited about is sandbox seeding. So it can take and push our live, fresh production data into any of our development sandbox, even our personal ones. We all have our personal sandbox that we set up and we play around and test with, but I rarely ever go and populate it with data because it's so manual. With this now, it'll do it for us. So we're really excited. I'll be able to go in there and play with production data and not have to share it with anybody else. So that's something I'm personally really excited about.
An upcoming feature that I'm looking forward to is the unified dashboards. So currently, whenever we're doing any custom development work on our sandboxes and we have to do a refresh, now we either have to push that data into production as a holding area and then migrate it back to the sandbox, or do an export before we do our refresh and back up that data ahead of time. With this new feature, the unified dashboards, we don't need to do an export before a refresh. The data will be sitting there in the Spanning UI, available for us to restore if the event occurs where we accidentally wipe out any of our development data.
Sofie, thanks so much for joining me. To start, can you tell me a little bit about your role here at Spredfast?
Yeah, I'm a senior product manager here at Spredfast, dedicated to integrations. So I work with our engineering, our design team to help build and bring these solutions to life for our customers. I'm focused specifically on integration, so I work with our customers and how they use Spredfast together with all the other technologies in their tech stack. Often that includes Salesforce, and so I help think about those workflows, what could bring some efficiency and context to people as they use both tools together.
So I understand that Spredfast has an app on the AppExchange, which is very exciting. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about bringing context and streamlining workflows for our users. So today you might be having a conversation with someone on social media. They're tweeting about how their backpack's been broken for 2 weeks and they haven't been able to get it fixed. Turns out they've been emailing with your team that's been managing that all via Service Cloud, and you've got all that context. You want to be able to connect the dots. So what the integration does is allow you to search for those customers, link them, create a new customer if need be, and ultimately then add some of that conversation from social media to a case in Salesforce, all without having to essentially do a bunch of extra clicks and copying and pasting and going between different tabs. So saving people time, bringing that context, and again, kind of streamlining that workflow.
So what's the advantage for Spredfast having an AppExchange app on in the marketplace?
The marketplace is fantastic. Having an app on the AppExchange gives somebody like Stephanie, a Salesforce admin, a quick way to see who is this company that we're integrating with, what's the integration all about, what do I need with regards to any custom objects, do I need any development time, to get a quick sense of that from a third party verified by the Salesforce team, knowing that that partner relationship exists, and kind of gives a little bit more context and confidence when you're thinking about making changes to your Salesforce configuration.
Well, we're thrilled to have you as a partner as well as a customer, and thanks so much for coming out and talking about it.
Thanks for having us.
Talks, we like to wrap up by sharing a little peer-to-peer advice. So if somebody is watching this and they're not yet convinced or not yet sold on needing a backup restore solution, what would you say to them about its importance, and what advice would you give to them?
For me, it's always been in this role, if you're working on the Salesforce platform as an admin, you have a responsibility to the business. Your role is to be a steward of the data. Your role is to protect the data, to keep it as clean as possible, but also to protect it and to keep anything from happening to it. That is what you are being paid to do. And that's something that I take very seriously. So if you are in this role and you are still using the weekly exports, you're not doing your job. You're calling it in. You're only halfway doing it. That is not protecting all of the data in your instance. You've got to have some kind of backup. Spanning for me has been reliable. I've been using it, like I said, from like 2013. And the few instances that I've had at the different companies that I've been at, when there was a problem, I was able to restore it and fix it in hardly any time at all. Did not slow me down, did not interrupt the business, most importantly. You've got to do it. You've got to protect the business. That's what you've been hired to do. You have that responsibility. And they're a great company to work with. You can reach out to me if you have any questions. I can put you in touch with them. I'd be happy to do that. And they're there for you. I mean, the support is amazing. They're all over the place. They travel. They'll come. They are engaged. They care about protecting your data. So you just fulfill that responsibility that you have in your role.
Yeah, I would just say, if you're considering spanning or you're not sure the importance of backup and restore, just imagine coming into work one day and doing something and losing all the hard work and data, and then having to be accountable for it and not really having a way to fix the problem. But then think about, okay, if I invest in a tool like spanning, I can go from being, I can go from turning that nightmare into, being a hero and recovering the data.
Well, it's a great story, and I'm sold on the importance of backup. So thank you for having me here in Austin. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Thank you for having us.